I've been getting in touch with my spirituality lately. I'm still quite grounded in logic and material rationality, and I might put out a video on how I merge the logical and spiritual before I leave for my expedition soon. But in the meantime, I'd like to present to you the pillars of my spirituality. First and foremost is the Logos, the consistent force of reality so far as we can observe and document it, the inevitable march of events that drives all things and that we are all subject to. I don't know if the Logos is a conscious entity directing things as the Greeks believed, but there is a structure and flow to this reality I believe we should align ourselves with. A Tao, if you will, or Dharma. But that's for a different video. Logos, or objective reality, is where I root myself. The tricky thing with Logos is we don't experience objects as they are, but as our senses perceive them. In this way, we are permanently handicapped in our pursuit of absolute truth. However, just because our wings are clipped doesn't mean we can't walk towards our destination and smell the roses along the way. I think of Pneuma as within the purview of the Logos, its animating force. If Logos is the consistent logic of reality, Pneuma is the spiritual logic of reality. I disagree with Chrysippus. I think Logos is what grounds the Pneuma, because without some objective truth that keeps reality together, how is anything possible? We wouldn't exist without some kind of consistent logic in the universe. Without the Pneuma, there would be merely static existence. Life would not be possible. One cannot breathe if there is neither body nor air. Because Logos allows for Pneuma, the golem is able to breathe. The forces of physics can be considered part of the Pneuma. The Pneuma of tsunamis and quakes, gravity and rain. There is a spirit about these things, recognized through animistic thought. I used this example in a previous video, but I'll say it again. Imagine there are two axes. A Walmart axe and your great-grandfather's axe. Your great-grandfather passionately crafted that axe himself, forged the metal, cut down the trees to make his own home with it, and that axe has been in your family ever since. And then there's the Walmart axe that was made on an assembly line. These two axes will have vastly different qualities, or character, or spirit, if you will. Even two Walmart axes made on the exact same assembly line will go through different experiences throughout their lifespan that change them and make them unique from each other. We humans are exactly the same. Nature exists around you. There is something beyond and higher than you. If you have respect for the world of which you are part of, it only makes sense to interact with it. Intentions are a powerful thing, so prayer makes sense even if you don't believe there is some ultimate creator consciously guiding the course of events as he sees fit. I see the Logos as beyond our comprehension, but we can still commune with it. Do I think prayer influences a conscious God's decision? Probably not. That intention and action were likely predetermined. But the dialogue is still a dialogue, and can have long-lasting impacts on one's life. Whether or not we have free will in the truest sense is inconsequential. What is, and how do we proceed? Pneuma is the air and the current of experiences that allows us to live, physically and spiritually. We need experiences to live spiritually. Just as quality of air affects our bodily health, quality of experiences also affects our spiritual health. Air is an experience for the body. That's Pneuma. The water that nourishes us is also Pneuma, input and output. Even though science has not been able to determine what consciousness is exactly, or what happens to it after we die, we all know what we're referring to when we discuss it: the awareness. That which, despite every cell in our body being replaced every 7 years, we can still recall things from decades prior. And consciousness needs to go somewhere. The consciousness must leave the body after it dies. I don't believe our full souls are transferred to another vessel upon death. I think our soul, or consciousness, is likely dispersed. This would mean that the consciousness you and I possess is recycled from countless billions of other life forms. One might say there are way more life forms today than there were, say, 1,000, 2,000 years ago. But who's to say those particles of consciousness, or Pneuma, weren't always around, like an oversoul? That consciousness or soul isn't everywhere by default. Another case for animism. Everything has some kind of soul, which effectively means that God or Spirit is everywhere, all the time, is all things. Pneuma is the breath of life that sustains us, the spark of divinity within each individual, or the life force of our brains that seeks fulfillment, if you want to be technical. But that divinity within each individual does not belong to the individual. We borrow that spark of divinity and return it, just as we do with the breath, just as we do with things and people we love. This is Pneuma, the divine cycle of input and output, cause and effect, spirit, soul force, the foundation of spirituality. Plotinus said, "The stars are like letters that inscribe themselves at every moment in the sky. Everything in the world is full of signs. All events are coordinated. All things depend on each other. Everything breathes together." It's literally in the word inspiration, to be inspirited, to instill with the spirit of something. Artistic inspiration is the pneuma in action. We perceive things as being more alive when there's movement, don't we? Look at how some paintings seem more alive than others, as in they seem to vibrate. I would say that's the pneuma in action. It's input and output, cause and effect. It's that simple and broad, and yet has infinite potential. This is why I do not believe psychedelics are the key to enlightenment or self-realization. Do I think most people would benefit from at least one psychedelic experience? Yes. But I don't think it's necessary to live fully. If that was the case, wouldn't psychonauts be the wisest and most admired people among us? No, I'm sure some are well adjusted, but I've observed people who turn psychedelics into their life purpose, and tend to spend so much time in the Fey lands that they forget to return to the material realm, where the breath of life is. A lot of them just seem very disconnected from reality. There must be balance. We are social creatures, and we must be capable of connecting with each other, which requires being grounded in reality. Psychedelics can absolutely be overdone, and I have seen it happen. They are not the key to spiritual fulfillment. That would be cultivation of our character, and flowing with the pneuma, the logos, God, the Tao, or simple reality. We are pneuma. One breath. One word. Wake up. Remember. That was cringy. That's all I got for today. Be sure to smash that dislike button, and leave your cruelest comment down below. Farewell.